what that screen, how this looks on the nutritionist side. So within the programs piece here, it's basically a calendar layup where you've got day 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can add content each day. So you can see that video piece is here, and the client form is here that I checked off. And if I actually select an individual that's on the program, which is my own profile here, you'll see that I've checked off those items as well. So it's actually a way to monitor your clients as well and how they're getting on. And if they're not checking things off, you can send them a little notification to remind them to a little check-in essentially. So you can add an item here and add a notification, or send them a message to see what's happening essentially. So like Big Brother. But you can the beauty of this is that you can build these programs out for as many days as you want. So this is only 11 days, as you can see here. But this can just run indefinitely, and you can drop content in as people are on the program already. So if you decide, oh look, I'm going to actually schedule a meeting for you next week, you can just pop it on the agenda here for them on day 7, and it will give you the option to set a meeting up, and then it will be delivered through the app in real time. So it's quite a nice way to just seem like you're really giving them a lot of content while actually minimizing your workload and being quite efficient in how it's done. So there's a lot going on the screen right now. So I'm going to go back and start a new program from the very beginning. So I'm going to close everything and go back to my login screen that you're probably more familiar with. So this is Nutritics as you, sorry, click back. This is Nutritics as you probably know it. You've got your client list on the left and your recipes and that on the right. So to start a new program, we have enabled programs for everyone during coronavirus period, because we're trying to assist nutrition professionals to work remotely with their clients, and we think this is a really good way to do it, and something that we can offer that's valuable. So this should be on all your accounts already. If you click the start button, you should see new program, and if you don't, just send us a message to support@nutritics.com, and we'll make sure we get that enabled for you. So you can click it from there, or you can, I'm going to show you the other way to do it. X off that one. In this little folder here, this is essentially a bird's eye view of your whole account, foods, recipes, meal plans, etc. And you'll see, we call it the Nutritics Explorer, because you can just browse all your items. But here you've got programs, and then within the programs list, you have groups or categories of programs. So you can see if you're involved in different work areas, working with different sports clubs or community setting, or in different with different clinical groups in a hospital, you can have different categories essentially where you manage your content separately to the next person. So in this case, I'm going to use Nutritics sample programs, and it loads up a series of different programs that are within that group. So one thing to note here is that you can actually string these programs together as well. So if you have, a 7-day program, and then you want to do a 30-day program or something like this, you can actually schedule them all to run back to back. But for now, I'm just going to make a standalone program. They are standalone as default. I'm going to click new program here, and it's going to ask me for who is this program for, essentially. So at this stage, I'm just going to keep it really broad. So I just want it to be for all adults. So you've got all these variables here that you can set the program based on your groups or based on client weight or whatever. In this case, I want to keep it really broad at the start, and I'll tell you why. It'll become clear later on as to why. But I'm just going to do for all adults stage between 18 and 65, just for argument's sake. So you'll see only clients that match this age range will be able to be put on the program. So I want it to be as broad as possible at this stage for my user base. So now we've got our program set up similar to the other. We've just got blank tiles in front of you. Day 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 7-day program by default. I'm happy enough with that for the moment. And it's a simple case then of just really building up your program. So you click on each day. On the first day, what should happen? You can write an introduction, as I had on the introduction screen here. So you can have that on each day. It's just like, I'm going to put, this is a 7-day program or a 12-day program or whatever, and it's going to involve increasing your nutritional intake based on your dietary assessments. You're deficient in these nutrients or whatever. So you can set that up as you wish. And I'm not going to put an intro on this one, but what I will put on is the client screening form here. So when I click new item, it gives me a list of all the different content types that are available to add on or attach to the system. So in this case, you could put a heading in and saying like, day 1 or morning AM or something like this. It looks like the headings that you see here. See the black banners: Monday, Head Start, lunchtime, fresh air, etc. So you can put them in as an option. You can kind of customize how it feels, or you can just put in individual checklist items. So in this case, I'm just going to keep it simple. And the first thing I want to do is give the client my screening form. So I'm going to click on the form elements, and it'll show, in your case, this will all be blank initially because it's all based on your own content. So you're actually publishing your own content into the system here for your clients. So you can start and you can look up, URLs from the web and pop them in here as well. But right now I want to create a new form, and it's called, this is the title for the client. So please complete the form, I'm going to say. Complete the screening form. And it's asking you for a URL here. So the reason that we don't support file attachments here is because when you use a form plugin like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or any sort of other Jot form, any of these, it actually lets them complete the form on their phone rather than having to download like a Word document and then struggle with it. So if you do it on this, it's mobile ready, And the other advantage to it is that if you change your form, there's no need to re-upload it or reattach it because it's already linked here. So it's important that you choose the live web link from your form. I have one open here. So this is just a Google form. It's freely available to use. If you type Google Forms in, you will need a Google account to do it. And it's my client record form with, simple nutritional questions, medical history, family history, etc. And so you can build up that form, custom questions with your logo at the top, and then you can actually attach that to the program. So I'm going to click send, because that's how you get the link. So you can send this out from here, but really we want to embed it into the program. So you click on this little link here in this case, and you grab that URL there. It's the same for most like web content, even like Nutritics reports. You can generate a form like that. When you click export and share, you'll see a little link like this. So you can put content in that way as well. It's the same functionality. And I'm just going to paste that form in there. Control V or right click and paste, and you can write extra information on here if you need to. So one other thing just to explain at this stage, the sticky item is quite useful if if this is a mandatory piece of information you may require. So you can have that just keep on showing up every day until they tick it off. Otherwise, if they don't do it on day 1, they go on to day 2, that content will be in the past and they'll have to swipe back to get to it. So if you want to keep it on there until they tick it off, then that's a good option to do in this situation. So I'm going to click save on that one. And if you do want to save this to your library, you can click the start button. So if this is the same screening form you use for all programs and it's never going to change, you can start and then save it as something for yourself. This is my client record form, and that's the name. And this note here is for yourself. So when you look it up next time, that's not client facing, this is for you, my client record form. Perfect. And then I click save, and it pops that onto the first element of my program on day 1. Okay. The other thing that might be useful, because Libro is a whole new smartphone app, experiences a lot in Libro in terms of tracking your nutrition and exercise and then checking off these items. It could be useful to actually include our user manual in there. So you can access those on our support page. But this is the Libro guide for clients, and it's just a web URL. It shows you how to use Libro and how to manage the program as well. So and how to contact support. So you can copy in that URL from there, come back to your program. I'm going to put that on the same day. And this is really just there's no exact fit for this one, but I just put it in an article. We've got lots of different ones there, and we enter a guide on using Libro. You pop in the URL there, and we just save that one. So now we've got 2 items on this form. If you want to at any stage, you can see how this looks for the individual as well. It's probably better when we have a bit more content, and this hasn't worked for me today so far. Yes, okay. So it gives you a quick preview of how it looks for the client as they go. And you've got your link out to your client form, you've got your link out to the guide to using Libro, and these are this is how your clients would see it. So moving on to day 2, I'm just going to populate with a bit different types of content here. So in this case, I'm going to grab a video. And if I click on video here, it asks me for, okay, again, I've got a stretching routine that I've bookmarked previously, but in this case, I want to create a new video to show you how to do it. So we're going to make a video called healthy plating, so people know how to arrange their plates, more kind of general educational content. And I've gone on YouTube here, and you can grab any URL. So you know that the typical plate guidance, you know, half your plate with veggies, quarter with protein, and a quarter with grains or whole grains, or legumes. You can just grab the URL from any video content that you like, or you might have your own video content that you've uploaded, and then you can populate that into your form here, or into the form here. So and then you save that. And again, so that's that day 2 information. One kind of tip here is not to overdo this in many respects, because you can actually put too much content on, especially in the early days. And we've seen that nutritionists get excited and they go in and start loading it up with notifications and pop-ups and messages and everything, and it's a bedlam in the account for the receiver. So it's definitely worth, when you build a program, pop yourself on the program as well and just go through it, and then make sure everything is the way you envisage it. So with the healthy plate, so that's a video now. When they see that in Libro, it'll be a video here, and you'll see that item is still on my day 2 because I didn't check it off on day 1. So my form is just following me around my program essentially. But yeah, you can play that video within the app and get savvy on how to plate up your meals. The other item I'd like to put on here, because you've got probably a lot of resources within Nutritics, such as your own recipes, meal plans, and other things that you've developed in Nutritics already. You can attach them in here as well. So if I click on new item and I want to put in a meal, for example, and you want to say, okay, you can build whole like meal plans in here if you want to, but I actually, because Libra is quite bespoke to the individual, when they sign up, they have their own targets built in that you can set from the client profile, and they're eating within they have a bit of freedom in what they do, so it's not as restrictive. So instead of giving them a whole meal plan, which you can put in your meal plan link in here, I actually like to just give eating meal suggestions. So if you click create new meal here, you can say use one of your foods, use one of your recipes, or use other, which would be just like a link to any URL on the web, and it turns it into kind of a recipe for them, like a BBC Good Food or any recipes, website that you want. You can just grab the link. But in this case, I want to use a recipe from my Nutritics account. It's going to show you all your recipe groups, and I want to give them a nice, I don't know, sandwich salads, maybe a lot of different options there. So if I go into, let's just give them a salad. Barley pumpkin salad sounds great. Okay, so we've got this recipe, and you can see the summary information from it, and we want to attach that on to the sample idea, and you can rename it. Then it's going to come up as barley pumpkin salad anyway, but why not try this for dinner? So it's quite creative in how you can deliver your messaging. And the other thing you can do is you can actually attach multiple recipes here if you want to have like options. If you want to say, a vegetarian option, or you've got a couple of different options that they can check off, and the user can just tick which one they had when it comes into the Libro app. So you can just do it again essentially. So we go into another item, banana bread, okay, not really equivalent, but it just pops them in a sequence so that the receiver can just select which one they actually want to have. So that's your recipe item. I'll just fill in another few days because we want to give it a little bit more content in this video. I'm going to do another video, so I've got one here prepared. Batching meals for family, so probably relevant at the moment. Like if you want to make meals in bulk because we're eating so much at home, you can just select one. I don't select the Aldi one. Nice, not sponsored, but so you can just grab the link. And you can also, a tip on this is if you just want them to watch a particular section, you can go to that section and then right click and go copy URL at current time. So you don't need to like put the whole video in if it's just a specific section that you want them to watch. So in this case, I'm just going to fill that in on my form. So just building out meal batching ideas. And so on and so forth. And then let's do an exercise now. So we can use one of our previously entered items here. So you click on the exercise elements. We've got a few different options here. I want to do, okay, we're sitting at our desks a lot at home at the moment, so let's do desk stretches, and it gives you a time that it's going to come up at that it suggests to do it at. You can put in a video, and you can put in a description on how to do it. One good thing to note is that if you put in bullet points like this, they'll actually come in as like swipeable tiles that the user has to do. Like they stand up from their chair and then they swipe it across, and they clasp your hands together, you know, stepwise. So we'll put that in onto the form, and so that's one of the previously used. I didn't have to do anything there because I previously made it. So once you've got your content in here, it can be quite quick to build up programs. And you can pull in files from Dropbox or Google Drive. You know, if I wanted to attach I'll show you here in my Dropbox, like a nutrition quiz. So this is in my Dropbox folder. And I've got a folder of resources here that are all, because they're on Dropbox, they're already on the web. So even though it's a PowerPoint file, I can still get the Dropbox link, which is a live link. So if anything changes on the nutrition quiz, it doesn't break my program or break my form. So I can just come in here and say, here's a nice presentation for you. And you can, articles, but you probably need a presentation option in there. And you pop in the Dropbox link, and nutrition quiz, let's see what you've learned kind of thing. How many can you get right? You know, so it's really your imagination is the limitation of this one. So anything you want to do can kind of be filled in and be delivered and engage with your clients on this. How many can you get right? So where it gets, you can drag items around as well. So if I say, oh, I meant to put that on day 4 actually, so you can just pull it to day 4. And it'll go to day 4. So this is what you'll see here, just to explain some more of the functionality. This is on the master profile, which means that everyone who I assign to this program will get this content. So it's general content. It's for everyone on the program. If you want to, let's do an exercise here to give you an example. So if you have you want to give the group an exercise, but for some, the exercise needs to be adapted. So if I come in here, I'm just going to choose one of my, okay, so 1K, okay, we've got ones here adapted. So we've got a 1K walk and a 5K run. So for the general group, I want to do a 1K walk at this stage. And the time is, let's do 2 o'clock. Please complete the walk and the following steps, okay. 1K walk, everyone knows how to do that. And that's on the master profile. Now, if I want to change that for certain individuals who are in a different group or category, I can make a new pathway up here. So it tells you what pathways are. It says they let you create different journeys for different groups of people. Okay, so when I click new pathway, it's going to load up that screen you saw before. And you're going to name it fit group, or I don't know, fitter group. You can call it whatever you want. And in this case, it's the same. I'm not going to restrict the age range on it because they could still be fit no matter what age. But I'm going to go into my own client groups, which are tagged on your client profile. And I want to say that this applies for my moderately active and very active group only. So my kind of sedentary clients that have been classified as sedentary by me in my client groupings won't get this pathway. So as soon as I do that, it will create a new pathway here below the master, and it's kind of coming down from the master. And when I click on that, it will show me the content. It still gets all the content from the master. So you can see it coming in gray, but I can't actually edit the content from here because it's coming from the master. What I can do is I can turn off the walk for this individual by clicking on it for this group. So the group no longer get the walk, and then I can give them new content, which is a 5K run. Okay, so the fitter group have to do a 5K run. They won't get the walk. When you see that on the on their schedule, you'll see that they have the 5K run and not the 1K walk. So that will be determined, which route they come on there will be determined by how you've set up your client groups. In this case, it can be based on anything else. So you can do it on whether they're pregnant or breastfeeding, if they're athletic, if they've got a sedentary job or an active job, if they've got a specific energy range, like if they're like on 5,000 calories a day or something, you might want to give them different meals, their BMI, body fat, weight, age, or gender. So you can control the pathways very specifically, and then put all your clients on the program, and they'll each go their own route that makes the most sense for them, based on your classifications here. So that's how you do that on the group level. So that's a good thing to know about. And you'll see that when I go back to my master, you don't see that 5K walk, you only see that on the fitter group. So that's the master and the group pathways. What about individuals? So if you've got a body comp report, or you've got specific blood work that you want to deliver to one individual and not the whole, obviously you can't share that with everyone, because content here goes to everyone on the program. And I'm going to show you how to put people, actually specific people on the program as well. So if you want to, let's say it's a meeting, a one-to-one meeting, it's not applicable for, it's not applicable to the group. So you would then actually select an individual from the program, and right here we only have master. So I'm going to add, at this stage, we're going to add a client to the program, and I'm going to choose me, I think, because I know I'm in here. And this is me, so I'm going to attach myself to this program, and I'll appear then in the drop-down list here. And when I click on myself, the same idea, it drops out from the master. I'm not on the fitter group, unfortunately. I don't seem to be classified in that group. So it shows me that I'm coming straight from the master. I'm getting the content from the master here, and everything's in gray because it's coming down from the master. And when I click on new item here, let's say I want to have a meeting on day 7, a one-to-one meeting, I can actually schedule that meeting here. Routine reception. So create a new link. One-to-one catch-up. Sorry, I forgot my cases. And what time is it going to be at? It's going to be at 3 o'clock. And what will be the agenda? Etc. You can fill in as you wish. And then I can also, on any of these items, I haven't shown this to you yet, but you can actually make a notification happen on the phone, similar to how, when you get an email on your phone or a WhatsApp message, it will come in like from the top, like a little message that you click and it opens up the app. So you can actually schedule a notification on here that you're going to remind them at 10 minutes before the session. I like to do it a little bit more than that in case they've forgotten. So I'm going to do it an hour before the session. And it'll actually pre-populate their name in here. There's a few different, you can use like different shortcut names here. So it'll pop in Damian, it's time for your one-to-one catch-up. But that doesn't make sense in this case. So I'm going to say, Damian, your meeting is in 1 hour. And you can remind them again, and it'll come up in the notification. So I'm going to save that. And actually, I do need to put in, because we're working from home here, click the link to join the meeting. So this could be your Skype username, or I've got a Zoom password here, or my Zoom account. And from there, you can click save, and you've got individualized content going to Damian. So you would need to go through and do that for each person on the program if that's something that you need to deliver one-to-one information. So you'd have either, like I said, body comp results or blood work or meeting schedules. If you want to do a group meeting, like for example, if you're running an exercise class and you want the whole group to attend, you can go back to the master profile, or you can go to the fitter group if you want. And the same idea, you can just set a meeting up here. And you can do the same thing, but this time it's for the group. So click the link to join the call, and circuit class. And it's at, what time is it going to be at? In this case, we're going to remind them 15 minutes before, so it's at 4 o'clock. And the reminder is at 4:15. It's time for circuit class at home. Save that in. So that goes out to the whole group. So that is how you schedule content and build up the program. There's a few extra bits in here that when I want to start the program, first of all, you can just start it right away from here, or from the client profile once you've invited them to Libro already. If you haven't invited them to Libro, it'll ask you when you schedule them on the program, it will ask you, do you want to invite them to Libro as well. But one thing that's very useful to know about is in the settings menu here, you have lots of different customizations you can apply to Libro. So by default, if you've invited someone and not put them on a program, you'll actually get a default display in Libro where you just have calories consumed or food consumed and energy burned, energy in and energy out essentially. And you can, in this setting here, it allows you to customize how it looks. So if I go back to my Libro account, scroll down. So I've got calories in, calories out, fiber, sugars, protein, and then I've got lots of other ones that I've added as myself. But you as the nutritionist, you can decide how the program should look. So you can come in here and add in extra nutrition trackers. So yeah, I definitely want to track fiber, and I'm going to add that on to this layout here, and it comes up as a button here. So as a big button, you can add smaller ones as well. So you've got big and small kind of layouts on the Libro side. So you can customize how that looks. One option that can also be useful in this case, this is more so for them if you're interested in tracking their intakes without them being kind of influenced by what they're doing, because as you work here, you're getting real-time feedback, as you can see. You know, I've had 1,800 calories today already, so I'm going to start adjusting my eating behavior. So you don't want them to do that potentially. So what you can do is just blind them from that information, so they won't be able to see the nutritional summaries. They'll only have the food diary. So how that looks is when they log in, they'll just see this, so they don't get to see like all the display on the home screen with the reports here. So that means that you can actually generate the report for them. You import this into Nutritics straight away. No manual entry of food diary, just pull it in. I'll show you how to do that in a minute as well. And then you can send them back the analyzed, assessed report from directly to the Libro side. So that's what the blind mode does. You can also choose, just going back to the middle column here, choose the meals that you want to appear. So by default, Libro will just show breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, as those four. But you can customize that. If you don't want to say snacks, you want to break it up into morning, afternoon, and evening snacks. And maybe you have like a late night, or if you're doing any sort of like surgery or a sport event, you might have during events. So you can collect you can turn on these meal slots and they'll appear on Libro for the user. So you can only do this from a program. If you schedule a program, you don't even need to have any content planned here. So you could just put them on. If you want to just come in and customize it, you can just come in and do this and then send them the invite to Libro. If you don't want to set, and it just means you can drop them a notification or a message if you need to as well. So it's quite useful. Then the other settings here, if you want to stop your client from adding their own nutrition trackers. So within Libro by default, they can actually do this as well. So if you don't want them to really start pulling in vitamins and minerals that they're going to start asking lots of questions about, you can actually turn that function off and say, I'm only giving you the specifics here. I don't want to overwhelm you with information. So these are the priority nutrients I want you to focus on. So you can control if they're able to do that, or add in activity, like they can track their exercise, connect with Fitbit or connect with Garmin, or what's the other one? Google Fit step counters. So that's within Libro as well. So you can block them from being able to do that if you want. And health trackers don't really exist yet. We're building out that more so like blood sugar management and that type of thing, as well as sleep tracking. And there's a few extra bits to come into this, but that gives you an idea what those settings are for. The other ones here, just to talk you through them as well, is more about the data that they have access to when they do a food search. So by default, they'll get the most appropriate databases for their region. So if you're in the UK and Ireland, you'll get the Cancer Medicine database and the Irish Composition database. If you're in Australia, you'll get the what's it called, the AusNut database, Australian AusNut database. And if you're in the US, you get the USDA database and the branded food supplements as well. So that's what. If you click require micros, it will hide branded sources. So they won't be able to kind of scan barcodes. They won't get any results really, because they don't have micronutrition, vitamins and minerals. So if that's important, if that's something you're assessing, if you're assessing their micronutrient status, it would be probably wise to turn that off and ask them to just search using generic food names rather than brand specific food names, because you just won't get the micronutrition from the brand names. And then you've got the option to block them from using unverified food. So if within Libro, we let users submit foods for review and publication, which we do, but the photo on them is user contributed. So it's just a user contributed food. So it's the nutrition information, but it goes through a series of QA checks. You can block them from using that. If you're using it for official research purposes or for labeling or something like that, you might want to block them from using the user contributed foods. And probably, sorry, I'm talking a lot here, but the last one here is really worth knowing about. The fixed start date. So essentially you'll see here on the program, and it's very useful that it's set up like this, that each day is just, there's no date attached to it. So if you've got, your clients don't all start on the same day, presumably, unless you're working with like a team or in a class setting. But that means that it's a rolling program. So when anyone starts with you, if you put them on the program, they'll get day 1, day 2, day 3 in sequence. And if you start, if the first person's on day 6 and you start another person on the program, they'll start on day 1 and then move along the same program pathway. If that doesn't make sense for you because you've got a class or you want to lock the start date, you can actually say, no, this has to start on the 24th of April because, you know, that's everyone has to be on the same agenda, everyone has to be on the same schedule. That will put in dates then. It's more of a calendar view. So if someone joins the program on the 29th of April, they'll get the 29th of April content. They'll have missed the first 5 days content. So it just means that if you do have a group session or something like that, that it's a group event, that they'll all get it at the same time. They won't be trying to log in on different days, you know, that sort of way. So it's useful if you've got like set events on set days that you can do it this way. So yeah, that is a kind of whirlwind tour of programs. Trying to think, is there anything else that I need to show you? I suppose down the bottom here, when the program ends, you can give them a message saying, well done, you've completed the program. You can repeat it if it just makes sense, if it's just a rolling thing that they just want to keep doing every couple of weeks or months, if there's a sequence to repeat. Or you can choose a new program to start. So if you say, look, after that program, we'll go on to level 2, and it runs from one to the next program then on the next day. So there's a bit of setting up, I suppose, involved in this, but once you have your content in there, it can be quite a powerful tool to work with your clients. And I think less is more in a lot of this stuff. You know, it's simple. It doesn't cost the Libro user anything to use a program or get a program on Libro, so you've already got the functionality. So just having that extra medium to get in touch with your client and drop them the odd resource through Libro, it keeps them involved, keeps them in the app and using it to track their diet as well and their nutrition. So I said I'd show you how to import the food diary as well, so if I go back to my client list and even invite them. So let's go to me here. And so I've already been invited to Libro. As you can see here, I'm on day 1 of 11 because I've already started the program. And so that's actually a different program. I'll start me on the other one. But when I come into logs here, if I click on add a log, it'll detect automatically that I've already actually been logging for, I don't think I logged that much, but maybe I did. So I can log today is the 23rd. Yeah, so I can import these days here, and you can see how many items are in each day. So most of them are just one item because I've been just tracking my steps, I think, and I'll do the 18th as well. So I'm going to pull in the Saturday and the Thursday from April. And when you click import, it's going to pull all the information in automatically into a food diary for me. And you know, I've got my recipes that the users created themselves in Libro. You get foods that they added from custom supplements that they're having, and you can see breakfast, lunch, and dinner broken down. So what you do at this point then is you just click export to report, or you can turn it into a meal plan and actually make some minor adjustments to this at this stage. If you just say, oh, look, you're actually really on the right track, I just want to tweak a few things here and there, you can turn it into a meal plan and then send it back to them with some minor adjustments. But this will give you actually a nutrition assessment report on those 2 days. So we click on this one, and it's similar to how you probably, I think a lot of everyone here is actually a Nutritics user already, so you've probably seen this. So it's giving you the full nutrition report where you have their intake in relation to their target intake, and you can customize this with you know, the usual graphs and nutrient reports, and then you can send it back to their Libro account. So when they click on that, it shares back to the user. Once you can customize, obviously you can write reports down here, so anything you want to type in, a bit of feedback for them or whatever. And you can also grab the share link. Sorry, it's going to load up. So this is see the dynamic link here. I'm going to take that link and put it on my program for the individual as well, just in case they as a checklist item they have to say they've seen. So I'm going to click on this, make a notification for them. Your report is ready for last week. So you've just imported it for them, and you just pop the link in. It's a notification type, so it's going to show up at 12 noon. Lovely. So that is that's a summary there. So sorry, I meant to show you how to start the program. So if you select the individual, you can start everyone at once. I don't know, where is it? Program. I'm already on a program, so I can't actually get a different individual. And now I don't know who's in here. Okay, Rachel. She's on a program. So now I can start Rachel on this program, and depending on which group she's in, most people will usually get the master profile if they're not in any of the fitter group parameter. And so she's going to get all this content here. When I click start, it'll it just gives me a warning that the days will be blank because there's no content on them, which is fine. I'm happy with that. Don't need content every day. And then you can schedule the start date. So and it's giving you a warning here, the date is fixed. So if they don't log in, they'll miss the first days of the program. So they need to log in to be, you know, it will keep them in sequence so they won't get the first days. So I want to start that on next Monday, the 4th, and I'm going to start that now. And she'll get the program. Oh, sorry, it won't let me do that because it's fixed, obviously. Unfix it. So you have to start obviously on the 24th if you've got the fixed start date on. Continue. But now when it's on dynamic start date, that program will start for her when she logs in next. So I think Katie's been answering your questions. Is there any other questions that we can probably, I think we've got an hour schedule, so we have 15 minutes left. If anyone wants to ask a question there, I can unmute you or you can type it in the chat box. You can raise your hand, I think. Okay, I'm not saying, Katie, you've been on top of the chats, I think so. I think that we're all good here.
Yeah.
But if you have any questions, do send them through to support@nutritics.com, and we'll keep in touch. There's a good video on this as well. Just if we do have this recorded, but there's also a good video in the support manual, which breaks it down pretty much if you need to send it on to other people as well. It's within Libro. And it's in Libro Programs Guide for Nutrition Professionals. So you can see here there's a video showing you what I've gone through today, but we'll also make the program, this webinar available as well. So it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to do everything, and I hope you can make some lovely programs and content delivered to your clients with this to help them during this time to engage remotely. So thanks very much for your time, and we shall keep in touch over the channels that we have. Thanks very much. All the best, guys.